You are listening to the Daily Gospel Reflections with Sister Cloth. This podcast is brought to you by the Paulines Multimedia. It is our mission to bring the Word of God to all peoples through sounds and images, voices, and music. Come and join us as we share with you a thought a day. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark chapter 5, verses 1 to 20. Jesus and his disciples came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes, and when he had stepped out of the boat, immediately a man out of the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one could restrain him any more, even with a chain, for he had often been restrained with shackles and chains, but the chains he wrenched apart, and the shackles he broke in pieces, and no one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always howling and bruising himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and bowed down before him, and he shouted at the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, Jesus of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he had said to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." He begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now, there on the hillside, a great herd of swine was feeding, and the unclean spirits begged him, "Send us into the swine. Let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the swine, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and were drowned in the sea. The swineherds ran off and told it in the city and in the country. Then people came to see what it was that had happened. They came to Jesus and saw the demoniac sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, the very man who had had the legion, and they were afraid. Those who had seen what had happened to the demoniac and to the swine reported it. Then they began to beg Jesus to leave their neighborhood. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed by demons begged him that he might be with him. But Jesus refused and said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and what mercy he has shown you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed. May God's blessing be with us all. Did you hear that? After Jesus had done a big favor to the local villagers by driving out the legion, or the evil spirits that caused them unimaginable fear and anxiety, the people still had the guts to beg Jesus to leave their place. How ungrateful! Were the people afraid that Jesus' presence, should he stay there for a few days more, would be a blow to their livelihood? Were they more concerned about their financial loss than about being with the holy and powerful healer? John Calvin says, and I quote, "We learn how wide is the difference between the knowledge of the goodness and the knowledge of the power of God. Power strikes men with terror, makes them flee from the presence of God, and drives them away from Him. But goodness draws them gently and makes them feel that nothing is more desirable than to be united to God. The people probably failed to see the goodness in Jesus. What they perceived only was his incredible power to conquer the evil spirits. Was there some evil or sinfulness in them, causing these people to avoid the presence of Jesus? Afraid that Jesus would force them to part from it? We might want to ask ourselves, am I reluctant to break away from a vicious habit that separates me from God? Or am I willing to give it up in favor of the peace and joy that only Jesus can give out of his goodness? Let's think about this. Be with us again tomorrow as we share with you a thought a day. Meanwhile, you can follow us and listen to other Apple and Google podcasts on Spotify, produced by Paulines Multimedia. Have a good day.